Hello, people of Earth. This is NEWSPASTY. My name is Johnny Vedmore, and I'm here to bring you media collaboration. Yes, collaboration with the state of Israel. For the media, I have to tell you now, they've had to manage the fallout from Israel originally bombing the first hospital. And calls for a ceasefire around the world caused so much pressure on Israel that now they've got to go. They can't just bomb hospitals willy-nilly. Now they've got to go in and clear the areas surrounding, make sure there's no terrorists there. Then they could probably bomb the hospitals. Well, we'll see. And who's this? It's a lady on a seat, and she's going to tell us a tale. Is it a tale of treachery? Is it a tale of woe? I think it is.
CNN's Nick Robertson and his crew got an up-close view of the ash, the bullets, the trail of absolute destruction. The rare inside look at how the IDF is fighting comes at a consequential moment in this war, as the American president says that the Strip's main hospital must be protected.
So because Biden says it, that means Israel will do it, is it? Oh, yeah, whatever. It's just the call gets so much that they have their mouthpiece, the mouthpiece of the establishment, say to the person who's running the country, you can't do it anymore. Oh, the mouthpiece of the establishment is usually the American president or someone like that. And what is it? On the front line, in the hospitals, on the front line. And what do you think CNN found? Do you reckon CNN found tunnels in the basement? Do you think they found evidence in the basement? Do you think that they went to the hospital and the Israelis said, do you want to see all the evidence that the Hamas were in the hospital, like we were saying all along? Look at all of this carefully placed stuff. I think that's what we're going to see. So here we are on a special edition of NEWSPASTY. This is NEWSPASTY, Israelis find things inside Gaza hospitals edition. Ooh, that's convenient, isn't it?
Now, Israel says the very same facility houses a Hamas command complex below it. And CNN reported the story that you're about to see under Israeli Defense Force escort at all times, but
So wait. They were under Israeli defense escort, being led to a place that Israel was saying was a command center. That's pretty big, isn't it? It's like a place where they put out commands. I think you might hear contradictions because I'm hearing a lot of, they appear and they go. How can you command if they don't have any access to cell towers or they don't have any way to communicate?
CNN did not submit its script or its footage to the IDF, and CNN retained editorial control over the final report.
So you know that it was definitely went through establishment ringers if it went through CNN. They're like, oh, we were independent. Apart from the fact that we're CNN.
You'll see now.
Driving into Gaza with the Israeli forces. It's a war zone.
He doesn't sound very American. They got a Brit on to do this. Driving into Palestinian territory, Gaza territory. It's a war zone. Yeah, it looks like it's been completely and utterly smashed. It looks like they're making way for a kibbutz. It looks like they're making way for plenty of kibbutz. Let's just flatten the whole area. Let's just flatten everything. Why not? We're bulldozering Gaza.
The conditions of our access only show officers. No faces of soldiers, and don't show sensitive equipment. We are passing mile after mile of destruction. Buildings.
The only points is don't take pictures of soldiers or equipment or anything that we're not showing you and anything that we're not escorting you to.
Blown. Collapsed, nothing untouched.
Nothing. Look at this.
The fury of Israel.
Look at this. Okay, so do you see all of the Jewish kibbutz that's going to go up here? All of the Israeli territory that they're going to be able to take here, and then now there's nothing here. Now there's nowhere for people to live. What's the point of these Palestinian people being here? Move them along until they're so close to the border that they can't help but to squeeze over because they're being pushed over like lemons over the edge of a cliff.
Hunt for Hamas. Streets here crushed back to sand.
Look at that, all crushed, reduced back to potential kibbutzes.
Everything that we see, no sign of any civilians here, and the soldiers have been telling us that even inside the stores they've been fighting things like rocket-propelled grenades ready to use against them as they were advancing through this area.
Even in the stores, they found there's no one in the area, and even in the stores, they found rocket-propelled grenades to use against them. Even in the stores of the place where there's no one there, they found rocket-propelled grenades. Even in the stores of the place where there's no one there. In the stores, what do you mean by stores? Do you mean shops or do you mean stores? Do you mean weapon stores?
A few miles in, we pull up at a command post. Soldiers living in blown apartment buildings.
Every building I'm looking at here.
Every single look at these. You think these are all Hamas? You think all of these blown up buildings are all Hamas? Are you crazy? Oh, well, they had one person under each building so we could attack them. So what did you do? We destroyed them all. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. This isn't just targeting some things. This is them targeting everything. This is all potential kibbutz.
Wherever you turn, it's destroyed. It's shot up. Hard to imagine how civilians endured the bombardment here.
They didn't. They're all gone. They're all gone, aren't they? Loads of them are dead. How they endured? How did those 10,000 people who died endure it? Oh, they endured it. They endured it good. They endured it so good that they didn't breathe afterwards.
Our next journey, much deeper into Gaza. We arrive.
I'm just watching a complicit news organization going around and ignoring what they're actually seeing and saying, "Oh, look at this, all bombed out." So what does that mean? Oh, it means the citizens had to endure a lot. Oh, the civilians had to endure a lot. Yeah, the civilians here had to endure a lot. Where are they? There's none about. Okay, so what does that tell you? Oh, not making any conclusions here because I'm with these guys, and if I make any conclusions, they don't let me come along on the ride anymore.
From a battle.
Complicit news network.
Tanks blasting targets in near.
They just blasted buildings. There's no evidence. They're blasting. This is just news saying, look, tanks blasting enemy, blasting at people, blasting. Well, what are they blasting? I don't know. I can't see what they're blasting at. Oh, what's the evidence around you that the tanks have been blasting at? Oh, buildings. Why? So that no one can live there. Why? So that they could take the land and build kibbutz. Yes. Ah, there you go.
By buildings, the IDF's top spokesperson waiting for us.
We know. No, so it's just a normal everyday on the streets with the police, with the IDF, and the IDF's top spokesman just happens to be there.
Conducting an operation inside Gaza next to a
They're taking away everything. They're next to a what?
Hospital.
Israel is
next to a hospital. Look at this. Look at this. This is just destruction. There's not one thing that will be left up. They are taking over. This is genocide. This is what it looks like. You're moving people on. You're taking away all of their livelihoods. You're destroying their homes, street by street. Nothing left. No civilians left. Picked up, moved on.
Facing massive international pressure over the destruction of homes.
Genocide.
Shockingly high civilian death
Genocide.
toll. And in the last few days, over its apparently heavy-handed tactics at hospitals.
You can say apparently heavy-handed tactics while standing in a ditch surrounded by apartment blocks that have been completely reduced to uninhabitable messes. You cannot say apparently. What is wrong with these people? Look around at what's happening. This is a complete destruction of a people, of a land, of a way of life.
The tunnel with the bulldozers to reveal the tunnels that we suspect that are underneath the hospital.
Gary has brought us here to show the connection he says exists between Hamas and the Rentisi Children's Hospital.
Did they just say they've brought in bulldozers to bulldoze the hospital so they could check if there's tunnels underneath them to prove to the journalists that there's tunnels underneath them? So, does anybody see what is happening here? I gotta stop being so angry because this is obviously the complicit news network working its normal game anyway. But they're saying, look at this hospital here. There's tunnels underneath it. We want to prove it to you. Oh, how will you do that? We're going to bulldoze everything. Oh, no, but it's a hospital. Why would you bulldoze a hospital? They won't need it after. They won't need it. They won't need hospitals because they won't be there. And this hospital isn't fit for Jewish people.
We're now here in an area between a hospital, a school, and a terrorist.
Right, okay, wait a minute. They're in between a hospital and a school, and they pointed at this. This is the school. So in between a hospital and a school, and they're saying Hamas are terrible for building tunnels underneath. And look at what they've done to the school and the hospital. Look at what Israel have done to the school and the hospital. And Hamas, who hadn't destroyed the school and the hospital, but may have built tunnels. There's no evidence so far. So far, all the evidence is that they're showing us is that Israel destroyed the school, destroyed the hospitals, destroyed all of the community, destroyed all of their houses, destroyed all of their shops, and blamed it all on tunnels. That's what they've shown us so far. They've shown us block after block, road after road of total destruction. Just all around, flattened shells of buildings that are no longer habitable. All the way around the border, yeah? Then they've taken us to a church, a hospital, and said, look how terrible Hamas are. They dug a tunnel underneath this hospital. Look, there's a school over there, and the school has been completely bombed beyond recognition. Do you realize how evil this is and how they can't disguise evil, yet they're trying to act as though this is all normal? What they're doing is normal, and all of this. They're allowed to destroy this because some bunnies are digging tunnels underneath. They could go, the real route would be to go street by street and carefully find the people who are making these tunnels, yeah? Well, they say as soon as they find them, they run away. So what do? They destroy everything. And that gives them the right to destroy everything. This is a genocide of a people. This is a complete and utter destruction of their property. This is a destruction of their land. This is the moving on of a people. This is death, death, death.
A Hamas commander, he says, lived there. He points out the solar panels on the roof.
That is ridiculous. He pointed out a solar panel on a roof and said that is evidence of a terrorist hideaway. A solar panel on a roof of a hospital. A hospital which needs to have some equipment running full time has got solar panels on this roof, but this guy says it's because they're terrorists.
Like this, the floor. You can see here.
Right, this is the ladder going down.
See the ladder going down.
Okay, wait. So far, I see a basement or a lift shaft. There is no evidence that's a regularly used tunnel. And that's not the type of tunnels they've been showing us. All they've shown us is that the hospital has another level underneath it, and most hospitals have another level underneath them. In actual fact, in Cardiff, there's one place I worked where there's like 3 levels underneath. Does that mean there's Hamas underneath them? If anybody has any type of basement, this is not evidence of tunnels. If there's evidence of tunnels, you should be able to take us into the tunnels.
Ladder going down.
Okay, this is a 20
Come on, let's go.
Tunnel. And look at here. Look at the panel. Be careful here. But look,
it's a hospital.
There's the cables.
Where do they incinerate the bodies? Where do they do certain things? This is no evidence. This is just that they've got an underground part to the hospital. There is no evidence of this. We want to go into the tunnels. If you're going to say there's tunnels and you're going to show us, show us.
Are going down to
You've destroyed everything.
Okay?
So they're hardwired into the
what
tunnel.
I wanted to show you, the solar panels on the terrorist house provide electricity.
The terrorist house... The terrorist house is a hospital. He's calling the hospital the terrorist house.
Enter the robot inside the tunnel, and the robot saw a massive door, a door that is in the direction of the hospital.
We're in what is a
door which is on the direction of the hospital. So why can't you go inside that door? Why can't you show? You're at the hospital. Why can't you show? We had a robot, and it went in, and it saw a door. Okay, what does that mean? That this underground facility leads to the hospital. Okay. Does that prove that it's a tunnel? That it's a Hamas tunnel? Or that it's just some sort of access, lift shaft? We can't tell. It's been bombed. They're not even showing us a tunnel. They're not showing us anything. If there was tunnels, they could show us. They could take us to the tunnels because there's tunnels underneath them. They're saying there's tunnels underneath them, but they're not going to show us the tunnel. They're just going to show you a hole in the ground.
Fire zone here. You can hear the small arms fire. The IDF say they're still clearing this area out. We're getting down here, just taking a bit of cover because they said we're still taking fire. But over here, we were able to smell what smelled like rotting flesh.
Bulldozers, look. If they say bulldozers come in here and take away the tunnels, but the tunnels were 20 meters down, which way is it? Were the bulldozers going 20 meters down? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. What they're showing you, look at all of this, look at all around him. What they're showing you is the Israelis are destroying Gaza block by block. They're destroying Gaza block by block, and they're saying there's Hamas tunnels everywhere when they're showing no evidence of it. They're showing a hole in the ground. That's no evidence. That looked like a lift shaft or something from a bombed-out building. You can't tell anyway. Oh, there's electrics that go down there. Well, it could be a mortuary underneath. It could be a morgue. It could be a facility for incinerating bodies. It could be where the fridges and freezers are stored to store body parts or bits for surgeries and transplants. It could be loads of different things. It's a fucking hospital. Every hospital I know has underground part, has a shaft just like that you look down into. Somewhere on its property. I live across the road from a hospital that has many of these. You go underground for part of the hospital. This is idiotic. There's no evidence. They have shown no evidence. Zero evidence.
It's perhaps buried underneath the rubble. No.
Reporters saw inside. This actual video is titled "See What CNN Saw Inside Hospital Basement in Gaza." We better be getting there. We better be getting to this hospital basement now. Not tunnels. The title of the video says hospital basement. So is a hospital basement a tunnel? Or is a hospital basement a basement?
Expose yourself.
As we move off to the hospital, 100 meters away, we're still taking fire.
I'm willing to take all my words back.
Operation conducted by our special unit. The Israeli Navy SEALs are researching the hospital.
Hagari later tells us he took a big risk, bringing us into such a combat zone. It is clear.
He later told us that he took a big risk taking us here. It's clear it was an important piece of propaganda.
He wants this story told.
Yes, it's an important piece of propaganda.
The connection of the tunnel to the hospital, okay?
They created tunnels. Look at them.
So this is where the connection...
We are looking for the connection.
We are looking for the connection. They don't have the connection. We are looking for the connection of the tunnel. It is here that we're looking for. So this is where the tunnel is. No, it's here. We're looking for the tunnel. We're looking for the tunnel by here. Oh, how are you doing that? We're looking with eyes.
It's already getting dark. A huge hole has been blasted through the walls into the basement.
Why is the hospital so damaged?
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Why is the hospital so damaged
like this?
Why is the hospital so damaged? It looks like, don't worry about that guy. Don't worry about that, eh? He's like, why is the hospital so damaged?
I'll explain. It's an important question.
Explain. Honest.
We came to this hospital 5 days ago.
With missiles, tanks, bullets, IDF fighters, tactical grenades, all sorts of different things. And we fucked up everybody inside. We were like, bam, 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 bam. Look, now it's empty, just like every single part that you've seen so far. Why? Because these guys have destroyed everything. Because they're committing genocide. They are a cultural genocide of a people. They are leaving nothing left behind. The Palestinian people are never allowed to have existed. They are wiping Palestine clear from the river to the sea. From the river to the sea, Israel will be clean of Palestinians. That is the chant that they should be making.
There were still patients inside the hospital. We did not enter into the hospital.
He claims since then, all patients were evacuated by hospital staff.
Wow.
We assist this
Wow. They then cut out what he said and had the reporter speak his words? Why would they not let him say it? Why would they cut out the piece where he said, let me tell you, we came here and this happened. And then he told us these things. And then he continues to speak. They cut out a large piece and they paraphrased what he said there, because what he said was not acceptable for the cameras.
Evacuation, of course, to make it a safe pass for all the patients in the hospital. We do not know that the hospital is entirely clean. We do not know. We only entered to this area which was suspected because we're being fired.
Sorry.
None of that made any sense. Half of it was cut out. They were carefully manipulating the information. CNN, complicit news network, is doing that on behalf of the Israeli people.
Leads us through a warren of basement corridors.
Here they go. Warren of basement corridors. Wait a minute. Corridors? No. There's tunnels. These are tunnels. No, stop calling them corridors. What's the difference between a corridor and a tunnel? I got a tunnel that leads me to the staircase that goes up to the stairs in my house. I got a tunnel. What do you mean it's a corridor? Shut up, you. Shut up.
To this room.
This was the armory.
Anti-Semites.
Okay?
This was the Hamas armory.
Yeah.
He shows us.
Oh my God. Okay. This was the armory. This was the Hamas armory. He shows us. What does he... I didn't really think it would be this bad. They've taken him to some nursery room in the basement. And they've shown him where, of course, these solar panels on the roof are to keep these guns charged up. Not for anything in the hospital. And look, they're going to show him guns.
A few rusting guns and some explosives.
A few rusting guns and some explosives are the evidence. Is that? Don't tell me that's all.
These guns alone have potentially huge implications for Gaza's hospitals. And
what? These guns alone have potential massive implications for Gaza. This looks like a setup. This looks like someone's lined up the guns on the floor of a hospital after they've taken the hospital. They're pretending they haven't been into the basement. They're like, we've never been in this basement. There's a big hole in the wall. We know we can go in it now because our guys have cleared it, but we've never been in the basement. Yeah, we know we can go into it now because our guys have cleared it. But we've never been in the basement. And look what's in the basement. Oh, just happened to be some guns. This is a massive implication for every hospital in Gaza. This means that we should be able to kill everybody because you found a couple of rusty Kalashnikovs that were already placed there.
Israel's apparent push to take control of them.
The International Committee for the Red Cross say that hospitals are given special protection under international...
Terrorist cat! Did you see the terrorist cat run by? That terrorist cat, they're letting him go. I can't believe they're letting that cat go. He was the one hiding this arms store. Look at this arms store with 6 guns. 6 rusty guns.
Humanitarian law in a time of war, but if militants store weapons there or use them as a base of
6 rusty guns a weapon store does not make
fire, then that protection falls away.
In other rooms, he shows us a motorbike with a
motorbike. Oh my God! Shows us a motorbike with a bullet hole in it. It's not like the Israelis have guns to actually shoot a bike or put a bike in there. Look at this. Look at where there's more concerning problems with this hospital, like the fact it's been completely bombed out. 5 days ago, it's been taken out. It's been completely reduced to shit. Anyway, not bombed out, but everything around has been bombed out, as we've seen. It's been dug up. It's had the Israelis all over it, and they've suddenly found 6 guns and a motorbike with a bullet hole in it. Oh, nothing to see here. Israeli propaganda machine are showing CNN a bike with a bullet in it, a hole in it, and 6 guns. So let's carry on with the genocide. Let's not stop with genocide, shall we? No, we got 6 guns and a bullet hole in a bike. That's enough now to wipe out the rest of the Palestinian people.
That he suspects was used by Hamas attackers October 7th, and
no
nearby
proof. Zero
possible
evidence.
Hostages could have
possible evidence hostages
held here.
could have been held here. This is going to be possible evidence. What is the possible evidence? He pointed at some fabric on a chair.
We are now in the basement in the same area, yards from the motorcycle.
Go on.
We see here a chair.
Go on,
We
a
see here
chair.
a rope.
Oh, we see a rope.
A woman's clothes or a woman's something covering a woman.
A woman's
Do you think the woman
clothes.
was tied up in this chair?
This is an assumption
In a
going to be
hospital.
checked by DNA.
More evidence, Hagari says,
Would-
points towards
how would you
Hamas
check-
and possible hostage presence.
Oh, very bad practice in the hospital. There could be a bunch of reasons why there's a chair in there. How about there's a whole IDF battalion hanging around trying to make it look like there's been terrorists in there? And that's the best they've done. A chair with rope on it. Oh, they say there could be that had female clothing on, so that's evidence that are hostages. I've not heard that before. Female clothing are sitting on a chair. I mean, that looked like this female clothing looked pretty clean. It didn't even look like female clothing. I don't know what they call it. I don't know. They didn't show us. The hole in the ground, which was actually leading to the basement. The 6 rusty Kalashnikovs and a grenade, which they claim makes this a weapons store, but could have definitely been planted.
Below the hospital.
And by bringing us here to this hospital and showing us the connection that you believe exists between the terrorists and the possibly hostages, what does this say about the other hospitals here in Gaza?
Cynically, Shifa Hospital is known by facts, by intelligence, to be a terrorist hub. And also, it's suspicious also in holding hostages. This is the best shelter for the terror war machine of Hamas.
But the hospital
What, the one with all the IDF in it?
knowledge of Hamas or other
targeted
groups
by
inside the hospitals.
IDF.
Is that possible?
I think it's not possible for an hospital
I
to have
think
this
it's
kind of
not
infrastructure.
possible. Did you not see the fabric we found on the chair or the 6 rusty Kalashnikovs we found here? I mean, it's not like we were here beforehand, even though we were here 5 days beforehand, surrounded the hospital, and everything around it has been completely cleared, bombed out, and bulldozed. It's not like we've done any of that, is it?
We knew the terrorists were here.
This is disgusting.
We knew. By intelligence, and also we got some fire.
We got some fire. We got some fire. By intelligence too. We know. We knew. How did you know? We got some fire. Intelligence. Okay, can you show us anything? We got some intelligence. Well, you can trust us.
This area.
From this area, this
From
building?
this area, and we were right to fire. Because what we found an armory.
But
we found an armory! An armory! 6 guns and a grenade is not an armory. I think anybody can dispute 6 guns and a grenade being an effective armory of any kind. And when you can't prove who put it there because you've taken over the hospital, surrounded it, cleared it out, killed everyone around, and started bombing everything and bulldozing everything in sight, it looks pretty suspicious.
So much damage all around here.
Yeah, there is damage all around here because Hamas...
Because Hamas, there's damage all around here because Hamas made it happen.
Impossible for us to fight him. He built all this infrastructure.
He built all his infrastructure. He's made it impossible to fight him. So we've had to level, bulldoze, clear out the area, cultural genocide machine.
In tunnels and in hospital around areas
Unbelievable.
populated.
As we exit the hospital, it is already dark.
We're just getting ready to leave right now. The firefight's still going on, still intense.
Yes, it is.
Fired,
still going on.
Going on up the street there.
This war and the controversies surrounding it.
Look at that little cat with a
resolve.
big fluffy tail.
Nick Robertson, CNN,
He's awesome.
Gaza.
You lying little cock fiends. I can't believe how bad this is. Look, he's walking down the road all alone. He can, because all is intense firing up the road. Is there? Yeah, really. Is it that them just destroying more houses so they can build more kibbutz? Probably. That cat knows what the deal is. He's like, okay, let's get out of here. There's nothing left at the hospital anymore. You take it all my guns. And I was keeping those guns for myself. Well, this is Johnny Vedmore NEWSPASTY, and we're in America again with Fox News Channel. We're looking at how they're reporting these terrorist tunnels underneath these hospitals, which seems like bullshit to me, and what they find down the basement. So let's see how they're reporting this nonsense through a different lens than what we've already done.
Fox News alert now. Right now, Israeli forces are still inside Gaza's largest hospital.
Look, here they are. They're inside Gaza's largest hospital, showing off rusty Kalashnikovs. Look, we've found Kalashnikovs in the bag. Honest, Governor.
Hospital at this hour, carrying out focused searches.
Looks like a fit
The
up.
ongoing effort
Looks
comes
like a
after the
fit up.
IDF says it found weapons and a laptop that contains pictures of hostages taken by Hamas.
Let's go.
Oh, does it? Does it? It's found weapons and hostages. I just don't believe it. I mean, I don't think anybody believes it. They could just put this stuff there and say it was so. Oh, look, we'll place it on this Arabic-looking mat, this Persian rug. Then nobody will think of Iran. Meow, 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 meow,
Trey Ying's live in southern Israel. Trey, what can you tell us?
Trey, what's going on, Trey?
Hey guys, good morning. The raid of Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital continues today. Overnight,
looks pretty peaceful.
Forces in...
Looks pretty peaceful in southern Israel there. And Trey is out reporting right on the front line. Oh, no, southern Israel.
Inside the hospital on the front line between Israel and Hamas.
In the dark of night, flanked by Israeli special forces,
Follow me.
we move quickly.
In the dark of night, flanked by Israeli special forces, we move quickly to commit acts of cultural genocide and cover it up for the IDF. We are Fox News. Like a fox!
Into Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital.
You can hear the Israelis are engaged in gun battles here with Hamas.
No, you can hear them firing.
Down a hall.
You can hear them firing. You can hear them firing, and you can witness loads of fired on, wrecked out building, no evidence of the fighting, no evidence of actual contact. You're just hearing fighting in the distance nearly every single time. And then you're going past a load of destruction. It looks like they've been firing on stuff with no evidence that they've been firing on people. It looks like they're just destroying building after building after building after building. How convenient for all of those kibbutzes.
In the radiology department, soldiers point to piles of weapons and Hamas booklets as evidence the building was used for military purposes.
How many of them? Don't tell me. Look. I can't believe they put it inside the X-ray machines and the other things have got weapons inside of them. You know, all of this, it could be planted there by the people who are bringing in. You're not allowed to go into these hospitals unless you got the IDF with you. So the IDF have already been in there beforehand. And these couple of weapons do not make weapon stores. I was going to keep saying that. It's just that this isn't true.
Behind an MRI machine, more guns and ammunition.
Go on, MRI.
The Israelis say are part of Hamas grab bags that were feet away from injured Palestinians.
In terms of
just throw them in.
Here, there are hundreds of Palestinians.
Where are we going to put these guns, boss? I'll just throw them behind anywhere you can. When we bring them around, we'll try and find them. It'll be like an Easter egg hunt.
Palestinian civilians, more than 1,000 internally displaced Gazans.
Again, as we saw in the CNN clip, that was the head spokesman. This is like the second in charge, and I see him around a lot. They put their most important people into saying, look, there's guns in these hospitals. And it is such a blatant, like, no evidence that they're encountering Hamas in these hospitals. Nothing. Just that they're destroying the hospitals and then pretending that there's weapons there. That's all it looks like.
Are they being protected?
First of all, they're unharmed, which is very important to state. No Palestinian civilian was even injured in yesterday's activity.
So you're saying that they went into the hospital and no Palestinian civilian was hurt. Is that what they just said? No Palestinian civilian was hurt. Yeah, it's a base, a command center for Hamas. And they went in and no one was hurt. Were people hurt? Were people hurt? And what were they classed as when they put their bodies into a pit?
Israeli forces controlled what areas of the hospital we could report from.
You can hear those gun battles raging on outside of the hospital grounds.
Leaving the hospital beneath the...
You can hear Israelis firing on things. That's what you can hear. Apparently, they have all the guns. They have all Hamas's guns. The 6 of them that they found there.
The roar of Israeli drones. Light from inside one of the buildings illuminates a path. Back in an armored personnel carrier,
there's still no tunnels.
Staging area before switching
Anybody seen any tunnels? The tunnels that they were trying to pretend were there turned out to be a basement, and they didn't even talk about it afterwards. So it's a pre-built basement. It's an actual hospital basement. Has anyone seen any tunnels? They said there's going to be tunnels under these hospitals. They go down. They say, "Oh, look at these weapons in bags. Proves it's an armory." Well, they could be planted. No one asked about the tunnels. Think about that. That's a way to distract people, isn't it?
Vehicles. Taking jeeps across Gaza provides a glimpse at the destruction along the strip. With entire neighborhoods destroyed, many Palestinians will have no homes to return to.
See, they've done a much more careful. The Fox News, you can barely see the destruction. It's inconvenient for the narrative they want to set down. BBC or whoever we watched last, CNN, sorry, were like, look at all of the terribly bombed out buildings. But Fox News are making all of these bombed out buildings blurry. This is cultural genocide, block by block, destroying people's living spaces and moving them out and calling them terrorists, saying there's tunnels behind them and under them. And when you go there to the hospitals, showing 0 tunnels. Where are the tunnels?
Despite the rising civilian death toll and widespread destruction, the Israelis plan to continue their military campaign until Hamas is destroyed and the hostages are freed.
Never again, says the IDF, are marking Stars of David down on Palestinian. That, I mean, there's so much about the late 30s about this. It's unbelievable. It looks like devastation like you would not believe, and they don't seem to care. They're marking their territory. This is us that did this. Never again, because we've done this to you. But because they're doing that to them, it will happen again.
You saw those weapons in the radiology department. However, you did not see any sort of tunnels underneath Al-Shifa. The Israelis say they are...
He said it! He said it!
...there, but they've not yet provided any images or location.
So again, they say there's tunnels. They take them there. They show them some pre-prepared guns laid out on the floor. Tell them that, yes, there's definitely tunnels. Okay, but they haven't shown them any tunnels, haven't let them see any tunnels. And on the ground, the pressmen don't question it at all. They tell you afterwards in a little postscript.
Guys, back to you.
All right, so Trey, they've got intel about the equipment, the weaponry. What about any intel regarding
Intel? That's not intel. Intel is intelligence. They've got Kalashnikovs. They found Kalashnikovs. They found evidence, they're saying. That's not intel. This guy doesn't even know what it is. Once you own it, once you have it in your hand, it's no longer intelligence. It's known. It's known. It's no longer like you got it through another source and you think you know it because it's intel. It's I know about the weapons now. No, you have the weapons in your hand. What are you talking about? These guys don't know how to report on wars, full stop, because they don't question things properly. They're too busy dancing around stuff. They don't have a really good knowledge base. They don't understand the terminology around it. And look at these 4 schlops that are sitting here. They don't know what the hell is going on at all.
Messages which the world is worried about.
Absolutely. We learned a lot last night about the information the Israelis
they're all in the tunnels that you're not allowed to see.
Gathered as a result of the raid on the Al-Shifa complex. I want you to listen to Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, who was on that embed inside Gaza City. He describes what they found.
This bag is from the MRI center. All of this here was taken there, was found there. And we're bringing it out for processing. That's why we didn't leave it there. Handwritten notes and a computer where we found pictures and video of hostages. And
again, they're like, look at this. We're outside, but we found this all in there, honest governor. And look, we've put things around it, labels on it, and it says things on it. And so that's our evidence. That's our evidence that it's about hostages. So it's definitely evidence. Look at that evidence. We're not going to show you it, but still.
Of Hamas combatants that are being interrogated.
Jonathan, just on these, you said you found names of hostages?
Of hostages, pictures of hostages, and what appears to be, at a very quick glance, files of
whatever. Files of hostages. Oh my God. Folders of hostages. Folders full of hostages. Look at his face. He looks shocked by it. Think of all of them hostages. How am I going to explain this? Look at the hostages that we found in this laptop that we promise is Hamas.
quite a significant development there, and if I could...
It's not a significant development because it's all propaganda. That can all be brushed off as zero evidence. That's all been dodgy. That's all dodgy.
And our security team member, Sean Nolan, for their support in this operation overnight inside Gaza. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Trey, that is very brave of you to go in.
Yeah,
we
Trey.
appreciate that footage. I'm glad.
Oh my God, we appreciate that propaganda footage where you were completely safe, surrounded by IDF fighters in a place where they'd completely destroyed and bulldozed, where you found no evidence and you asked no questions about the tunnels that they said they didn't have. They said they had, but they didn't have.
You're safe. When he said he saw the pictures of the hostages, could he tell? Were they in a tunnel? Were they in a house?
Oh, they're still desperately seeking tunnels. Were they in a tunnel? Were they in a house? They seek tunnels here, they seek tunnels there, down Gaza Strip and West Bank here. Well, you know, whatever.
So he said he was able to find information about the hostages.
He was able, yes, he
was of an Israeli soldier that was actually rescued by her fellow soldiers who went into Gaza and raided an apartment earlier in the war. So
they found a picture of someone who's already been rescued. When they rescued them and they took the laptop and the material off the people that they had rescued her from, and then they took that back, what would be the chances that they'd say, well, we could use that to fit up these guys in the hospital by planting it there? Oh, yes, but that's got things about her and there, and people will work out. People don't care. People don't care. This is propaganda. We can say whatever we want.
Here's much of the information focuses around the names and ID numbers of the hostages, along with some photos. But the Israelis say they delivered the laptops and the books to the intelligence service of Israel, and they're currently going through that information as we speak.
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Intelligence.
Reporting live from Israel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trey.
All right.
I'm Steve.
Thank you, Trey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
And we know nothing about anything at all. That's why we work for Fox News. Man. Oh, NEWSPASTY is always so fun to film with. So, seeing as I've been picking on them both this week, Julia Hartley-Brewer and Douglas Murray, they're doing a report that fits in with this agenda. So let's look at it too. It's them. Now, we've seen in this wonderful episode, special edition of NEWSPASTY with me, Johnny Vedwar, we've seen them talk about, shows a CNN, the IDF shows a CNN. Look, CNN, this is a hospital in Gaza, and look, it has Rusty Kalashnikovs in, so it must be one of the most high-tech command centers around. And then we've seen them take Fox News to a hospital and say, look, all the guns behind the MRI scanner. And outside they were like, look what we found. This stuff that could coincidentally have been found weeks ago in this other raid that we did, or a week ago or 2 weeks ago, however long ago that raid was that we did. So there you have the IDF looking really suspicious because the entire time they found zero tunnels, or showed zero tunnels. And the whole point of this was that we go to the hospitals and there'll be tunnels there, loads of them. Oh my God, you should see the tunnels coming out of tunnels, coming out of tunnels. There's tunnels inside tunnels in my mind, concentric circles of tunnels on tunnels. There's slim people and round people, convex people and concave people walking through tunnels, tunnels everywhere, built by these bastard Hamas to terrorize us. And they've been building them underneath the hospitals. Remember that? Remember? And they're going to show them. So they've brought CNN in, they brought Fox News in, and there was fuck all there. Zero tunnels. Look down this basement. Look at this. This is tunnel. This goes down to a tunnel. Look, they've got wires that go down to a tunnel. Okay, that doesn't look like a conventional tunnel, does it? No. It's a tunnel. It has wires. Look, there's a solar panel on the roof of the terrorist killer. He's a terrorist killer. The solar panels down the roof. Got to be a tunnel. Okay. We go into the hospital. it's a basement. Suddenly it's being described as a basement. In the title's clip, it's described as a basement. And in the basement, they find 6 Kalashnikovs and 0 tunnels. And in the Fox News piece you just watched, well, we asked them about the tunnels and they said they definitely found tunnels and there were definitely tunnels there, but they're not going to show us any evidence of the tunnels. Sounds suspiciously like the IDF found no tunnels. No proper command center. They said they found a laptop. They said they found a chair. They said they found 6 Kalashnikovs and a grenade. They said they found a fair few things in these hospitals, but they didn't really find what could be described as a command center. Listen, in Hamas, with warfare, you don't have such a thing as a command center. As you heard, there is no cell signal anymore for Hamas. It can be completely taken out, so they can't communicate. So how can you have a command structure if you cannot communicate? So think about all of that. Now we're going to look at a different phase. So we've seen the 2 phases of the initial introduction. Look at this. Bombed out places. We're in a war zone. Everything's been destroyed. Look at the guns in the hospital. Oh, there's no tunnels. Let's move on. And then done again. Oh, look, we've gone to hospital behind the mRNA machines. Look, evidence of hostages on this laptop and these things that we found that we promise you are something to do with something that we promise about. And then we go on to the British news where Julie Hartley-Brewer, who is not in, as we've seen, bashing Chris Williamson and claiming everything is a conspiracy theory like a madwoman. Literally everything. I mean, it got to the point it was pathetic. She was even like, oh, Zionism, like it doesn't exist. I mean, that was pathetic. That's really awful because a lot of the Israeli guests, if they talked to them about Zionism, they would talk to her about Zionism. So to claim it's some sort of like reason that spawns conspiracy theory while it does actions that are led to make a greater Israel, then you have to ignore it, don't you? And it's ridiculous what she said. And of course, pro-Israeli, I'm really, Douglas Murray is on this. So we got a pro-Israeli commentator with a pro-Israeli commentator coming together, and it's really interesting now to see how they spin this lack of evidence, 0 tunnels, a few guns supposedly found, but from people who want to find that stuff, and it looks like basically they found nothing there. So how are they going to spin this? Because they're going to take 11 minutes. Julie Hartley-Brewer and Douglas Murray are going to take 11 minutes to spin it. And it's going to take 11 minutes because Douglas Murray can be let off his leash. He's with his supporters. She's not going to treat him like she treated Chris Williamson the other day because she's not impartial. She's very partial. She's very biased. That's why she acted one way to one person. Now, will we see her act like and be frustrated with Douglas Murray, or will we see them bond? I think there'd be more bonding. I'm just going to guess that.
Israel has claimed to have unearthed an operational command center with weapons, combat gear and technological equipment at the Al-Shifa hospital. That's the biggest hospital in Gaza. This after IDF troops entered the complex yesterday. Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer has faced the Labour rebellion after 10 frontbenchers backed a Gaza ceasefire, along with a total of 56 Labour MPs, in defiance of the Labour leadership's position. Well, author Douglas Murray has been in Gaza with the Israeli Defense Forces.
I don't think he's just an author. I'm very suspicious about why he is the one who is so ever present on our TV screens and have been pushed to us in things like Question Time and stuff before. Why I mean, if you go through certain ranks, like it could be said for a lot of people at Spectator and stuff that they're obviously got ties to intelligence and ties to the establishment. There's links there, and Douglas Murray talks about being on the front line of all these places, but supposedly he's kind of like a lone wolf on the front lines. I don't believe it at all. He's there to be a propagandist, to be a front man, to be a figure, and so who's paying them? Man, I'm very interested in that.
They got close to that Al-Shifa hospital. I'm delighted to say he's back out of Gaza, safe and well back in Israel, and joins us right now. Good morning to you, Douglas.
Oh, you can already hear she's going to treat him like a hero because he's a good British guy, isn't he? Not like that Chris Williamson.
Thanks for joining us. Well, we had hoped to speak to you on the show yesterday, and you got the call along with just a very few journalists who were invited to join Israeli Defense Forces to travel into Gaza to use some of
so soft toned. She's being so soft toned with him, like she's talking to a hero. They're trying to create a hero legacy around this complete and utter weasel of a man. It's amazing. It's amazing that, you know, they can't see how much of a paper doll they're making. You know, they're really gonna come a cropper on this one, because he is vacuous. He uses arguments to avoid actually debating stuff most of the time. That's what I've seen his technique as being. Very interesting that he's being pushed out. Very soft tone here from Julia Hartley Brewer.
The routes that those Hamas terrorists used on October the 7th to get in to slaughter innocent civilians and then take hostages back out. You got pretty close to the place that's being talked about the most right now, the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. Just tell us a little bit, give us some ideas and picture of what that experience was like.
What's that experience
well, of course,
like?
It's
Of course, it's driving through completely safe areas which have been completely and utterly demolished, and are just shells of building with zero civilians left there. So no danger whatsoever. It's like driving dirt roads in next to places where people's homes used to be, people's gardens used to be, and people's kids used to play. And instead there is nothing there, just a wasteland destroyed by IDF, all the way to the hospital, where they were completely and utterly surrounded by the same devastation and destruction, and bulldozed holes in the ground for tunnels that they could not find there, to look at a couple of weapons sitting on the ground like a right fit up. That's what it was like.
Very interesting and quite remarkable to be getting the opportunity to go back through the fence the way that the terrorists came on October the 7th.
Oh, BS.
It's been
of course, he paraglided. He was paragliding, or he was, you know, they went across with parachutes across the borders, did Douglas Murray, you know, just like the terrorists did. He come floating in.
Operations began, certainly for Western journalists. And there's an enormous amount of activity going on all the time. It's the of all the different fronts in this war. The bit of Gaza we were going into yesterday that we stayed in is one of the main centers of the fighting, and you can see that.
Then you can see that by the lack of fighting. You can see that by zero evidence being given of anything but gunfire in the distance, destroyed homes. It's not Hamas that's destroying Palestinian homes there. It's just not. That devastation has not been reaped by Hamas.
Everywhere. The minute you get past the fence, you can see the villages. There's one place, Zaytun, where you know, there's very considerable firefights, explosions. Obviously
a complete destruction of people's habitats, of people's homes, of people's culture. You're watching a genocide. You're like, oh, there's explosions and stuff. Oh, is that Hamas? Is there any evidence of that? No, we're just Israel in control of everything. You go into the villages, it's just flattened, every building destroyed. What are you talking about?
Fighting has been going on since the beginning of this. We went about 3 kilometers further into Gaza from there, but I think you can see at the moment a tunnel that the IDF had discovered, part of the Hamas tunnel network. And this, of course, is where many
is it underneath the hospital? Is it underneath the hospital? Look, this is Douglas Murray looking like he doesn't know what to do. He's just standing around a load of IDF, so it looks like good for the shot.
From many of the...
And look, there's completely... Look at all of those buildings. Look, there's Hamas lined up. Look, there's all Hamas lined up, being shooed on, with their backpacks on, with all of their belongings destroyed in the houses. Look at all of these houses destroyed, one block at a time, by Israel. Going in, destroying people's cultures, destroying people's homes. This is not these people fighting back. This is just their land being destroyed. Zero other stuff. They're just their land, their houses, their homes, their stores, their businesses, everything being destroyed, being kicked out of home. This is what Douglas Murray is watching.
The Hamas terrorists are, and the Israelis believe this vast underground tunnel network also includes many of the hostages, the 240 people stolen from Israel on October 7th. The IDF experts detonated the tunnel in question as we were there.
Detonate the tunnel in question. So you didn't actually see it. You just saw a hole in the ground and they were like, oh, yes, it's a tunnel. Oh, we're detonated now. Because I want to see some of this. I want to see. They've got to show some of this properly. They're saying it's Miles' network.
My cameraman to record the detonation. And that's we had to hide behind a wall because the explosion.
Oh my God, Douglas Murray! They had to record an explosion, and they had to hide behind a wall because of the explosion. And then we went and played cards. I went boom, boom around the place. How exciting! We're the wall.
The blast was very considerable. The ground, even some meters away, beneath our feet.
I know we've got some footage.
Shook.
We've got some footage, Douglas, of that explosion.
Oh,
how they have to try and clear the entrances to these tunnels because
wait a minute. They're not exploding just a tunnel. Don't look on that scene there. No one has said, look at that devastation. You know, look at that devastation. No one can say that wasn't done by loads of explosions. It's not just explosions and how they clear these things. It's explosions how they clear the Palestinian people off Palestinian land.
Let's try and have a little watch and a listen to that clip right now.
Terrorists explode people off people's land.
Lowering dynamite into this tunnel. The aim is to
they say it's a tunnel
and close it off from the rest of the network. So the Israelis are about to detonate.
Well, they could go down there and show. Yeah, we didn't see a tunnel. We didn't see a tunnel. We saw a little hole in the ground. We did not see no tunnel. And they're saying there's a tunnel network. Okay, well, go down to the tunnel network and show us the tunnel network. No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to show you a hole in the ground, and then we're going to show you an explosion. Well done. It's like a magician. Somewhere. Oh, we better hide somewhere. We better hide. He's such a public schoolboy. Oh, let's hide just behind this wall.
This is the first chance we've had to film. Anyone's had to film the actual humanitarian corridor that's opened up here by the Israelis.
Humanitarian corridor, you mean you're just pushing people out of potential kibbutz zones. This is all potential kibbutz zones. All of these homes, all of these buildings are going to be turned into kibbutz. And that's it.
They've asked the Palestinians in Gaza to move south. We can see the queue of people.
Yeah, of course, they're being pushed away.
Douglas Murray, looking at that footage, I mean, what I think strikes most of us, I think, is just the absolute devastation in Gaza. I mean, it looked...
Oh, well done, the absolute devastation. So the absolute devastation, the fact that the Israelis haven't been just aiming at military targets, have they? No, they've been aiming at everything. They've been completely bulldozing everything.
It's like something out of a Hollywood film, a sort of post-apocalyptic scene. And then you see these people queuing up.
That's what you guys are supporting. These two are supporting the creation of that instead of the state of Palestine.
Tell us what was happening there.
So we got the first footage of the humanitarian corridor that the Israelis have opened. The Israelis have asked the citizens of Gaza, have told them that they should, if they are not Hamas, to move from the north to the south of Gaza.
There you go. They told them. They haven't asked them. The Israelis have asked them. Well, they told them. So they demanded they have to move from the north to the south. You have to leave your homes. You have to leave your land. You have to go south. Okay. And what are you going to do with our homes? Well, we're going to bulldoze it and explode them one by one. And every time a reporter is talking, they'll hear explosions and gunfire in the distance. And they'll say, oh, look, the war's going on out there. And we're destroying your home. We're blowing up your kids' toys. We're blowing up your family pictures. We're destroying everything that's left of your life, and we're doing it so we can move in our own guys.
They are trying to make sure that the military fight which is happening door to door, building by building.
I don't believe
it. Is only IDF versus Hamas. Now, of course, that means that
that's a lie. You can't do that. You can't do that. This whole thing is just bullshit. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. There's no evidence. They're providing no evidence of the tunnels. They're providing no evidence of Hamas fighting building by building. They're showing no evidence of it.
You can see them moving there, and we got the first footage.
They're just innocent people being pushed out of their homes that have been destroyed. While Douglas Murray watches on and then turns away so he doesn't have to watch them anymore.
Goes out saying, although it's a tide of human misery caused by Hamas starting this war on the 7th of October.
They started
yes, we were there and able to watch as the IDF, the Israelis, instructed the locals in how to do this in the most peaceful and easy manner. There were calls out in Arabic and
unbelievable
in, Hebrew, interestingly enough. The calls in Arabic to the people, and by the way, I should tell about the size of the people we're talking about.
This is terrible. This is terrible. This is devastation. Look at that. Devastation. And they just seem to be like, oh, this is fine. This is the route that you take. You know, you destroy everything. You destroy everything. You push them out. Yeah, that's what you do in war. Yeah, that's normal.
25,000 people the day before I was there passed the way we're seeing, 50,000 people the day before. So the Gazans are following the IDF's recommendations in moving. And of course, to move away from, the most intense fighting. Even in this area, disgusting. Of course, it's very dangerous.
Look at
Hamas
him.
Have been...
He looks awkward, just hanging around, looking around, just having a little quick look here and there.
Shooting and
look, this is just them blowing up people's houses.
Hamas wants civilians to remain in the north in order to make.
Is this all of this? Look at that demolition of property. That is not Hamas.
It's also, of course, a very dangerous exercise for the IDF. Because they don't know who's coming through, and they have to try to make sure that the people coming through are A, not Hamas fighters, let alone leaders, and B, are not Israeli hostages being brought further south into Gaza, and therefore away from the Israelis who are trying to find them. The recommendations come out, the call goes out across the speakers all the time. You can hear in the background both.
But say, please find tunnels. We need tunnels because there are no tunnels, and we've been looking for the tunnels for ages. It's like the weapons of mass destruction.
Shelling in the north from the IDF planes, but also routine firefights, anti-tank firings by Hamas and tanks firing from the IDF, and also a lot of machine gun fire going on all the time in the background in exchanges between the IDF and Hamas. But
I don't believe they can prove those are exchanges between the IDF and Hamas. I think they're just the IDF firing at people. At one point, when we were watching a report at the beginning on the front lines, there was just anything that was considered suspicious movement in the distance, which was any movement, was shot at by the IDF. What does that mean? Have you thought about what that means?
The main thing that is broadcast out to the Palestinians in the queues is, first of all, in Arabic, you understand what's happening. Please raise your hands. You understand, you're coming through peacefully. This is going to all be done peacefully and as easily as possible. And they go through the checkpoint. Some small number of people, mainly young men, are pulled out for a secondary inspection. These, of course, are the people of the age.
They're the age. These are age of military combatants, so we can take them out. We can put them into camps if we want to.
Who are most likely to be Hamas fighters. They are questioned. They're checked that they don't have guns.
Yeah,
or
look at Douglas Murray in with the
things. Also checking
the IDF
bombers or anyone else in the line.
It's not a pressman. That's not a pressman. He's not playing the part of a pressman. He's playing the part of an IDF propagandist.
The second thing, and a detail that's important, is very occasionally a call goes out across the megaphones from the Israelis in Hebrew, and.
Julia Hartley Brewer is not questioning him, not giving him the rundown, is just letting him speak, and he's got an open mic. So this is when the two different stages of Douglas Murray. The one stage is when he's alone with an ally. So when he's on Israeli News 24 or when he's on Julia Hartley Brewer, he can just speak. He can just say, and he can just give all of the propaganda. But when he's on a show that's a panel show with multiple others, he no longer responds by giving long, drawn-out responses or just giving out propaganda, because the other people will bite at it, and they'll show it to be propaganda by saying something. Instead, what he does there is he insults the person when it gets referred to him. Douglas, over to you. And he'll say to one of the other panelists, well, you did this or that or the other. Now, my point is this, that, the other. And the other panelists will start shouting at him. And then suddenly it'll turn out to be a shouting match. And that's the repeat. That's a repeated theme. That's a technique that he uses to avoid, he cannot actually have conversations and beat people who are against him in an argument without being bitchy to them. And that shows. So he just starts by riling them up and making them look like they're shouting him down for the wrong reasons, creating, in a sense, them into being a straw man, leading them into being a straw man, easy to defeat because they're using all of the things that he's expecting to see as a response to his insult. But this is the other where he's just talking away. And Julia Hartley-Brewer is not questioning him at all because there's no point in questioning him because they're both working for the IDF.
I got one of the soldiers with me to translate what this said.
Multiple
this said,
proxies.
among other things, if you are a child and you understand what is being said, jump now. And this is because the Israelis believe that Hamas may be using this corridor to smuggle some of the 40 stolen Israeli children south, further into Gaza. And
oh my God, that is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. This is such a bit of propaganda as well. It could be children, they could be amongst Israel. So they would jump up then if they heard that because they know it because it's in Hebrew.
And this was a particularly sort of heartbreaking moment because the idea
but they've
that
just
a young
said
Israeli
this.
child being held by Hamas might be given this warning,
heartbreaking propaganda tool
and be able to escape.
And like that wouldn't get back to Arabic people that was somehow that was happening, and they live next door to Israelis. Some people speak Hebrew, I'm sure, because they've had to get a job, etc., etc. This is just ridiculous propaganda nonsense.
At that moment at the checkpoint is a
think about the kids.
Idea. So far,
searing
sadly,
idea
the IDF has not been able to catch any of the
really
get back any of the children who Hamas stole last month.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're bombing. They're just bombing. They're just bombing and bombing. They're destroying everything.
This half hour about your experiences dealing with, talking to the families of those who've lost loved ones and hostages taken and the like. But watching this footage and reading your account,
keeps ruffling up his hair.
Hearing what you're saying now,
he's not happy with his hair.
You're in a war zone. But we also have the fog of war. And everything that we hear and see, we have to go through the sort of prism of who has said it and why have they said it. Is that, so if the Hamas, the Gaza Health Ministry says something, that's gone via Hamas. If there's information about, children dying, that's come via Hamas. But also, we can't necessarily trust everything that we hear from the Israeli Defense Forces. There is, war propaganda, that sort of thing.
We cannot trust everything we hear from the Israeli thing. There is war propaganda or whatever.
The British government would have done in our time, and we've done in more recent wars
as
well. How can we trust everything that we are hearing? You've been on ground. How can we
trust the person who's in the IDF pocket?
I see, not everything I hear.
Yeah.
So you only see, but you have to admit, you're only seeing what Israelis are allowing you to see, what the IDF are allowing you to see. He's admitting that. So I only believe what I see. Yes. And I choose to see what I see.
The Al-Shifa hospital was about a kilometer up the road from where I was yesterday.
Did you see the Kalashnikovs or the tunnels?
And it didn't prove possible because it's a major firefight ended up.
Really? Did it?
There.
That's convenient. He was going to the hospital to see those reported tunnels, and then there was a firefight, and they couldn't go there.
Hospital, of course, the IDF has actually managed to get into and did release images yesterday. Now, this is an incredibly contested issue, but you don't actually need the account of the Israelis that the hospital in question is one of the headquarters of Hamas, and
you don't
need by them as a armaments dump as well as the headquarters. The IDF released footage yesterday from inside the hospital showing the munitions that were being...
The munitions! They showed 6 rusty Kalashnikovs in one place and a load of Kalashnikovs hidden behind an MRI scanner somewhere else. They have not shown weapon stores. They've shown weapons that could have easily been picked up from some other assault they've done and planted in the hospital. They've shown evidence that could very well have been recovered from a previous operation that is linked to a previous known operation and said that they had found it there. there when it could have been found at that previous operation. None of that is true evidence, is it? That's not evidence. And Douglas, you're talking secondhand there. You're not even talking firsthand. You're saying you couldn't go there, but I didn't need to go there because they released information and we believe it. How can we believe the information? I believe what I see. Then I got shown this and I believed it because I know that's true because it's what I've seen. I'm Douglas Murray. I believe what I see and I close my eyes to what I don't want to see.
Kept inside the hospital when they were inside the hospital yesterday. And remember, the Israelis know quite a lot about the hospital because they built the hospital some 30 years ago.
They know a lot about the hospital because they built the hospital. So that must mean when they found those rusty Kalashnikovs there, they knew all about that because they built the hospital. However many? Wait a minute, I don't see how that makes sense.
But the more interesting thing about the Shifa hospital.
Oh, go on, please tell us what the more interesting thing is. Is it the tunnels? Tell us it's the tunnels that they've been saying is underneath the hospitals.
What it is. The BBC and other media have been pretending in recent days that it's outrageous that the Israelis are saying it's a Hamas base. This has been recognized as a Hamas base by multiple international NGOs and other institutions for years.
They're nodding, but when they say NGOs and institutions, they could be talking about anything. They could be talking about the most Israeli-leaning non-governmental organization. Just because you're not a non-governmental organization doesn't make you good. I know that because I bloody wrote up an article. You can go look on NEWSPASTE with Karen Disley called "The Non-Governmental Octopus," which shows you how the establishment and the state and the hidden hand uses non-governmental organizations to manage consent, manufacture consent, and take over in political coups entire countries, and has done since the Velvet Revolution, at least in 1989, 1990 in Czechoslovakia, and so on and so forth. So these guys, they're saying all of this. All NGOs have said, yeah, this was a base. There was no evidence found that it was a base for Hamas. No evidence. Zero evidence found.
In 20. This has been recognized as a Hamas base by multiple international NGOs
for years. And other institutions.
2014, Amnesty International, which
is riddled with intelligence shit. Riddled. Amnesty International is not an alternative. Honestly, and you're saying 2014 was it? Was it 2014? They just said for that. I think it was 2014.
Being kept inside the hospital when they were inside. They built the hospital some 30 years
Sorry,
ago.
I know I keep returning to this. When did this NGO?
More interesting thing about the
Amnesty.
The BBC and other media have been pretending in recent days that it's outrageous that the Israelis are saying it's a Hamas base. This has been recognized as a Hamas base by multiple international NGOs and other institutions for years. In 2014, Amnesty International, which is no friend of Israel.
So if you have military intelligence from 2014, it's true in 2023. Is that what you're saying? Are you saying military intelligence in 2014 is still the same today? Are you really? This is something you put, because honestly, I don't want you anywhere near the military. Oh, we need to take out this place. What have we found? A picture from 2014 that shows the person inside that place. What is it? It's a Hawaiian restaurant. Take it out. Obviously, it's a center of operation. Obviously, it needs to be taken out. Well, there's a Pakistani hospital where Osama bin Laden was being treated as September 11 was happening. You remember the American one? Take it out. Obviously, that's where Osama bin Laden would be now to this very day. He's already dead, so take it out anyway. We want to take them all out, the terrorist killers.
Released a report where they said that the Al-Shifa hospital was not just a Hamas headquarters, but a headquarters in which Hamas used as an arms dump, as a prison for Palestinians who were interrogating, and as a torture cell, which Hamas uses to torture and interrogate people from rival Palestinian factions.
2014 intelligence.
2014, and Amnesty said it in 2014.
Then it could have changed in 2023.
There's so much international surprise, and also what is
international surprise? International surprise that you would use 8 years old intelligence as definitive proof. Why would there not be surprise? It's shit proof. Like finding 6 rusty Kalashnikovs in a hospital. It's not proof. Like finding a previously successful operation's contents inside a hospital is not proof.
What is it that they think Hamas is not capable of? They think Hamas is...
You cannot, there you go. You cannot choose what to do depending on what you think someone may be capable of, because their capabilities might be hindered massively by a load of other things. And again, Julie Hartley Brewer, if you look at the horrible faces that she's pulling during the Chris Williamson faces to the faces she's pulling now, where she's like, yes, Douglas, you're so right. Hamas are capable of doing everything. Do you know they're capable of traveling back in time and being Hitler himself? That's true. That's Hamas.
Capable of using Palestinians as human shields?
Yeah.
They think Hamas is not capable of putting bombs
underneath
civilians?
You think Israel is not capable of allowing an attack to happen for a pretext for a wider war?
Yeah,
exactly.
It is extraordinary, isn't it? Some of the international coverage. Well, I want to talk to you more about that. I want to talk.
So she wants less international coverage that says, look at both sides. She wants just the one side to be right and the other side to be wrong, because that's good reporting, isn't it, Julia? When you're partial and you're biased, when you show your bias to one side, hail the mighty ones. There is no such thing as Zionist. There is no such thing as Zionism. No, I'm Julia Hartley Brewer. I pretend things don't exist to exist. They don't exist anymore.
About your experience talking to those who've lost loved ones in the kibbutz. That's going to be coming up next. Also, I want to talk to you about that ceasefire vote in the UK Parliament as well.
They're having a little smile. All coming up after the break. Well, we're not going to stick around with Douglas Murray and his girlfriend. Yeah, Douglas Murray. He actually does. You replace a bottle for anything else. Think about what you can replace that bottle for. You can imagine what Douglas Murray likes to choke on. And there you go. And she's looking at him and she's thinking about that. She's thinking, oh, I wonder what he does in the dark. Well, whatever. This has been a special edition of NEWSPASTY, where we've gone through 3 clips, long form NEWSPASTY, and we've looked into a little bit about where these tunnels underneath the hospitals. And it's what I've discovered is there's no fucking evidence of it at all. Zero fucking evidence. That they've been trying to show you every bit of evidence for everything else apart from the thing that they've been claiming for the entire time. And you've had to put up with Julie Hartley Brewer and Douglas bloody Murray. I'm so sorry for your loss. I wish that this hadn't been this way, but it has been this way. Sometimes that's just the way it is. Douglas Murray will never be the same. Thank you for joining me on NEWSPASTY. Like, share, subscribe. Support me if you can. Come to newspaste.com or johnnyvedmore.com and you will find tunnels. Lots of tunnels, I promise thee.
What we know is that we will end up with many more unemployed